Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Hormone Balance Solution podcast. So, on today's episode, I want to touch on the type of testing that we do in my practice and why we choose the testing that we choose, and maybe not some other testing that a lot of other people choose or you might think you need, such as a hormone test. But also, I really want to talk about the testing that we do and why it is, in my opinion, the perfect combination for really getting women results. So if you don't know how I work, and myself and my team practitioner, Michelle. So we work together in my practice to help ladies in midlife about the ages of 35 to 55 to really kick symptoms and to feel better, right? Because around this time when we're coming into midlife, coming into perimenopause, we really can start to feel very puffy, very inflamed. We can start to notice changes. And this is because our hormones are shifting and changing. So perhaps we're noticing changes like our hair's falling out, or we're getting a thyroid problem all of a sudden, or maybe we're really, really fatigued and we never were before, or we start to have issues with building our muscle, or we're gaining weight, or we're gaining belly fat. We just feel bloated. We feel puffy. We feel inflamed. Maybe you have gut symptoms that are starting up, whether it be heartburn or indigestion of some kind or bloating. Maybe you look 6 months pregnant. I have a lot of women come to us who look pregnant, they say. Maybe you've got gas, maybe you've got headaches, migraines, mood symptoms, PMS is ramped up. Maybe you've got a lot of rage. Maybe anxiety is reared its head. Maybe you've got a low mood, you feel more depressed and that's not like you, you're not motivated. Perhaps you're struggling to sleep. These are all the symptoms that we help our ladies with. They are very common symptoms and they are not normal. They are not normal. These are all love notes from your body, little whispers from your body, little red flags that your body is trying to wave at you to say, hey, things are shifting and changing. And if you don't shift and change along with these things, then they're going to fester into something much worse. That's usually the case, right? And so we want to cut these symptoms off at the knees, and we want to really listen and go, okay, well, what's causing inflammation? Well, that's the gut, right? What's causing me to have hair loss or thyroid issues or any of these other problems? Well, oftentimes nutrient deficiencies are involved, and that's the gut. And also repleting nutrients, right? So we'll get into all of that. So we run these tests for our ladies. Our ladies, they come to us from all parts of the world, but primarily Canada, the UK. Sorry, I just remembered something that I had to write down. So Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and America. So that's sort of the main base. But we do have women in Europe as well. And we actually have a lady who just came to us from Dubai. So we get our ladies, we send our ladies specific at-home functional tests. And so our ladies, they don't have to worry about going to find these tests on their own. They don't have to worry about going to find a doctor who will run the tests for them. And I'm not going to go into blood in this episode, but yes, we love blood. I do comprehensive blood work reviews for the ladies inside the Hormone Balance Solution, which is my flagship program. I love blood work. Blood work has many nuances that are often missed, even by doctors who just sort of go down the list, and if nothing's flagged, they don't look deeper. But when you look deeper at blood and you really know what you're looking for, you can see nuances that are sometimes missed that might tell you if you've got a kidney issue, or might tell you if you're dehydrated, or might give you clues that you've got non-alcoholic fatty liver, even if your liver enzymes look great. So blood's a whole nother situation. But what we do with the at-home functional labs is you don't have to get a doctor to run them for you. We send you everything you need to do these in the comfort of your own home, and we send you instructions for how to ship your samples back to the lab. Very easy, very straightforward. That's one of the reasons we love these tests. Now, the testing that we do is a stool test. We love stool testing, and I'll tell you why, and the HTMA, which stands for hair tissue mineral analysis. Now, the reason that these are the two primary tests that we do inside the Hormone Balance Solution, they're the two tests that you get as part of your fee for joining the program. You get a stool test and a hair tissue mineral analysis, HTMA. You do not get a hormone test. I have talked about this ad nauseum, but I know there's a lot of new people to my world constantly, so I have to keep talking about it. The reason we do not run a hormone test for a program called the Hormone Balance Solution, or even if you work with us in other ways as well, is because you cannot see root cause answers to your health symptoms via a hormone test. A hormone test will never give us a root cause answer. It's going to tell you what your hormones are doing at that particular time you did the test, which is a problem, which I'll get to, but it's not going to tell you why perhaps your progesterone's low and your estrogen's high or whatever the case may be. It's not going to tell you that. It's not giving you any root causes for why you're bloated, why your hair's falling out, why you're puffy, why you're inflamed, why you've got PMS, why you've got other kind of mood symptoms, anxiety, insomnia, depression, fatigue, low libido. It won't give you root cause answers. So it is kind of useless. And it's especially useless in midlife. And I won't go into why. And I will link to some of the podcast episodes I have that do go into why in the show notes. But it's kind of useless in midlife because our hormones are fluctuating. So you can't hang your hat on the results. So even if you did a hormone test between like 35 and 55, I mean, 55, we know where your hormones are. They're low. You don't be running hormone tests when you're like 50, 51, 52. Your hormones are low. But don't be running hormone tests in your midlife perimenopausal time, which can be like 35 into your 40s, because your hormones are fluctuating. So you can't hang your hat on the results. You don't even know if the result that you're getting is accurate because it can change hour to hour, day to day, month to month. So there are reasons we don't run hormone tests, and I will, like I said, link to some of those episodes in the show notes for you so you can dive deeper if you haven't listened to those episodes. But also they don't give the root causes. So you come to us and let's say, for example, you are struggling with really bad gas, really bad bloating or constipation or diarrhea. Maybe you've got stinky gas. Maybe you've got really bloated belly. Just looking at the stool symptoms, the gut symptoms as an example, no hormone test is going to tell you why. You need a stool test. You need to know what your bacteria is doing, and you need to know what your metabolites are doing in your gut. This is really, really important information, the metabolites. And again, I actually am going to be going into this more. I'm just having a look. We're going to link to that episode as well. And because I think it's just so important for you guys to get all this information so you can really understand why we work the way we do and how you're going to end up getting results. So the metabolites are really important because they will dictate what's going on with your inflammation. They're going to dictate what's going on with your bloating, with your gas. So you need to run a stool test, but it's not just for stool symptoms, right? Let's say you've got PMS, fatigue, all those issues I spoke about at the top of the episode, all of those symptoms. I don't care whether it's hair loss, whether it's depression, anxiety, sleep issues, weight gain, inflammation, you have to look at your gut because the gut really is the linchpin of all your health woes. And if you get the gut right, you are a massive step forward to eliminating all those various different symptoms because poor gut health is linked to all those symptoms because there is a bi-directional communication with all these different axes in the body. There's a gut-brain axis, a gut-lung axis, even a gut axis, a gut-heart axis, a gut-kidney axis. So my point is the gut impacts every single area of your body, meaning it impacts every single symptom that you have, from hair loss to insomnia to weight gain to constipation. You have to run a stool test, in my opinion. Inflammation is a big one, and I really want to hammer this home. Your gut regulates your inflammation level. So your gut is either driving up inflammation or it's bringing down inflammation. And you can eat the best diet in the world, but if you've got these symptoms, any one of the symptoms that I spoke about, if you have these symptoms going on and you're eating really cleanly, but you're not getting relief, it is time to do a gut test because something along the way has gotten out of whack for any number of reasons. Could be antibiotics, could be stress, a period of trauma, could be a period of bad eating, could be a vacation somewhere, could be a viral infection. There are so many reasons, some that are out of your control, that can impact your gut health and then cause dysbiosis, an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, and cause certain metabolites to be generated, which then in turn give you symptoms that you can't always just eat your way out of. right? So it doesn't matter. It's not your fault. It doesn't matter how clean or perfect your diet is. Sometimes you just can't eat your way out of these issues. You need to look under the hood, do the right testing. Hormone test never going to tell you anything about why you're inflamed or why you've got these symptoms. So, stool testing, in my opinion, is a must. And the worst thing that can happen if you run a good quality stool test, and I actually talk about this in an upcoming episode. It's going to be episode 112, 112. I'll link to it in the show notes. But you need to do the right kind of testing. And we have switched from the GI map to other testing. We no longer use the GI map. And I go into it in that episode 112. You need to make sure that you're looking at the whole microbiome or as much of the microbiome as you can, meaning as many bacteria as you can, because it's the bacteria in your gut that make or break your health, that make or break your disease risk, that make or break your ability to absorb things, that make or break the metabolites that are generated, that make or break your inflammation. So you need to be able to see as many of these bacteria as possible for a skilled practitioner to be able to look at that and then manipulate your microbiome in a positive way to give you positive outcomes and also longevity, because your gut the poor gut health is linked to everything under the sun, every disease you can imagine, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, other kinds of dementia, cancer. The list goes on for the amount of diseases that we can link back to the gut. So the worst that can happen is you optimize your gut for longevity. But if you're symptomatic, working on your gut will yield results because it's going to show you a root cause of one or another root causes. Now, is your root cause gut health? No, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying your gut is playing a role. I'm very confident in saying that. I have worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women now and run hundreds of stool tests and done a lot of learning in the microbiome. So I can confidently tell you that to one degree or another, something's probably going on in your gut that you can fix, that you can improve, that's going to improve your health and your longevity. So that's why we love running the stool tests, especially as we age. As we age, our gut ages. As we age, we go through what is being termed inflammaging, right? We age and our inflammation goes up. There's a few different ways to counter that. So it's not just about the testing. The testing, in my opinion, is very important because, like I said, the gut regulates our inflammation, but then obviously we need to be eating correctly, reducing our stress, doing the right exercise, building muscle, or to combat that aging. So that's the stool test, the reason we run the stool test. Now, the other testing we love to run is the HTMA, and this looks at your minerals. And so we can see what your minerals are doing. We get about a 3-month or so snapshot of what your minerals have been doing in the body. It's a really great picture of your metabolic health to one degree or another. And it's better than blood because blood is going to try to remain pretty consistent. Once your blood mineral levels change, you might be in deep doo-doo because your body has to keep your pH really consistent. Otherwise, you could die. We need to have that consistent pH. So the blood is constantly pushing and pulling minerals because that's what helps to keep the pH in the correct range. So it's constantly pushing or pulling minerals in and out of tissue in order to keep that pH steady. So you're seldom going to see imbalances in your minerals in blood. And if you do, it's probably, a considerable problem by that stage. And so instead, what we love to look at is the hair. The hair is a wonderful reservoir of what's been going on, information on what's been going on in your body for a few months. And again, a skilled practitioner, and they really do have to be skilled because if you run an HTMA, you can't just read it at surface value or face value. If you look at an HTMA and something's really high, it doesn't mean it's high in the body. It is a very complex, very nuanced test. And it's not something that somebody who's not trained in it could possibly interpret. So, but it is really fabulous to understand. And minerals are, I mean, nutrients, that's amino acids, minerals, and vitamins are critical for your health. So, again, we're talking about what tests are going to give us root cause answers. It's not a hormone test, it's a gut test and nutrients, because nutrients make your body tick. Nutrients support your cells. And so in your cells, you've got all these, all the cellular machinery that's humming along, but it's not going to hum along well if you don't have the optimal levels of nutrients. And it's not just minerals, but they're huge. And the reason we love to see minerals is because from what your minerals are doing on this HTMA, we can, a skilled practitioner, can make some really good and accurate assumptions about what's happening with your vitamins. So minerals and vitamins, they work with each other. So when one mineral is high or low, we can assume that a particular vitamin that we know works with that mineral might be high or low. Therefore, we can create a customized, and when you work with us, we actually give you a custom multi-nutrient, and we can create this for you with both vitamins and minerals because we know what those are doing based on just that HTMA test. And then once you get those nutrients up, you're going to support your cellular machinery. And what does all health boil down to? Your cells working optimally. Because if you're not healthy on a cellular level, you're not healthy. Now, you could be thinking, listen, I eat so well that there's no way I'm deficient in anything. Well, you would be wrong. You would be wrong. And this is not your fault. This is not your fault, but I really need you to hear me here. There are so many things we are assaulted by in this day and age. We have chronic stress. And even if it's not chronic, we go through bouts of stress, traumas, whatever might occur. Maybe we have a period of bad eating or bad sleeping, or we get infections. Maybe you get COVID or the flu or a cold. Maybe you go, and I've just come back from Canada recently, and maybe you get jet lag, or the trip to and from Canada is incredibly taxing on the body when you're traveling, long distances like Australia to Canada. It's not your fault. Your body is just human. It's going to be impacted by that. Then we have toxins in our environment, and then our food supply. Our food supply is not as nutrient dense as it used to be, and we have studies on this. So you got to eat like 4 carrots to get the magnesium that was in one in our grandparents' era. So even if you're eating really well, your food isn't as nutrient dense, and that's got to do with the farming practices. So we have these much poor quality farming practices, which cause the soil to be depleted in nutrients. And the soil health is what gives our food their nutrients. So you got shitty soil, you got shitty crops, right? So it's not your fault, but it doesn't matter how well you're eating. You will have something to work on with your nutrients. I mean, even if you just drink coffee, I love coffee. I think coffee's great, unless there's a reason for you not to drink it, like anxiety or insomnia. But I think coffee's great. I love it. I drink it. But coffee will rinse certain minerals out of the body. So you've got to replete them. You've got to know what's up with your body. Even the tap water you drink or the bathing water you're bathing in can impact your minerals, your nutrients. So it's not your fault, but you will have imbalances of nutrients, of minerals, and some deficiencies, maybe some excesses, which can cause problems as well. So again, this is the root cause. We have that HTMA, and all of a sudden we go, oh my goodness, you've got this that's too high, this that's too low, these that are out of balance, and I won't get into it, but minerals need to be balanced, not just in optimal amounts. You need to balance them with their BFFs as well. And, so we now have these root causes of nutrient deficiencies that we know drive cellular health, which drives overall health, which reduces symptoms when you get your health improved. And we have the stool test, which we know gives root causes. So we have 2 of the most fundamental things, gut health and nutrients. You get your gut health right, you get your nutrient health right, and you do the lifestyle piece, of course. So you've got to be reducing your stress, eating good quality diet, balancing the blood sugar, building muscle, exercising not too much, not too little, focusing on strength training, blah, blah, blah. But you do those dietary and lifestyle strategies, and then you do these 2 tests and you optimize the gut and your nutrients. There's no way you're not going to see results. And I can say that confidently because I've been doing this work for so long. And again, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000+ women by now. And I can confidently say, when you do optimize all those things, you will see results. And a lot of the times women want to jump down rabbit holes. A lot of the times they want a quick fix or a quick answer, right? Sometimes they want mold to be the reason, or they want a reason. And I get it. I used to be like this many years ago, and I wanted MTHFR to be the reason, but it wasn't. And it's really seldom one thing. So if you're trying to find that one reason you feel the way you do, it's probably never going to be found, because optimal health requires that holistic approach. But the great news is, when you do that holistic approach, wonderful things happen in the body and you will feel better. So that's why we run the stool test and the HTMA, and we don't run a hormone test. We want to get root cause answers. We don't want to faff around with stuff that's going to cost us money and not give us any answers, like, for example, a Dutch hormone test. Instead, hormones, we know what's going on with your hormones through your symptoms. That's very obvious once we talk to you what's going on with your hormones. But we want the root causes, and that's where the root causes lie, in those two. Now, like I said at the beginning of this episode, I love to incorporate blood as well, because when you do the stool test and the HTMA and blood, wow, you've got everything you need as a practitioner. If you're skilled at this kind of detective work, you have every piece of data you need to know where you need to go. And I'm not saying you never need to run any other test. Perhaps there is a mold issue that needs addressing, but you'll know once you've run those tests, and you've still got stuff that can be utilized and worked on. It's not never a waste of time, never a waste of money to get those tests done. Or maybe you have a SIBO issue, and hot tip, if you bloat quickly after meals, if you're the kind of person who is saying, I look 6 months pregnant, you probably do have SIBO, and that needs to be addressed. Even before you go to the lower colon, you need to do a SIBO test, and we can help you with that. Just reach out. I'm at Tarathorn Health on Instagram, or email me, tara@tarathornnutrition.com. So I hope that helps. And next week, this is the plan anyway at this point, I am going to be interviewing one of my mentors, who I have learned a lot about the microbiome, a lot about gut health, and he was very instrumental in me pivoting from using the GI map. So that's going to be a wonderful episode to listen to next week. And then the week after that, I go more into why we switched from the GI map. So I won't go into it too much with the interview with my mentor next week, but I'll dive more into that in the following week, because I think that's really important for you all to understand so you can make informed decisions. But thank you for being with me. And as always, reach out to me on Instagram if you've got anything that you want to chat to me about. If you're interested in working with us at this in real time, I would like to say that I do have some Black Friday specials coming up, but only if you're listening, obviously, in real time. So keep an eye and an ear out for those. Make sure you're on my email list. You can get on my email list by grabbing my free perimenopause handbook, and the link to that's in the show notes. Otherwise, I hope this was informative. Share it to everybody who needs to hear it. And if you need my help, just reach out, and I will be speaking to you very soon. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed and that you're following me on Instagram. I'm at Tarathorn Health. I would also be forever grateful if you'd leave me a 5-star review, because this helps the podcast reach more women who need this information. And if you're interested in working with me, check the show notes for more information about how you can do that. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. I am not a medical professional, and the information provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. I do not have access to your individual medical history or circumstances, so the content discussed here should not be considered as medical advice. Before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or considering the use of supplements, please consult with a qualified healthcare professional or your doctor to ensure it's safe and appropriate for your specific situation. Any decisions you make based on the content of this podcast are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in.